I am having the weirdest time and trying to figure out why sometimes my image is like right here and other times it isn't. And I don't really care because you do not need to see me. But the whole point of this video was in the last video, what I did was talked about some basic selection of material. Like in this case, we did brick and we did siding. And what I did kind of go back to was when I clicked the siding, I did say that this diagonal ANSI 131 or ANSI 31 siding, even though it was diagonal, does really work best as far as these default AutoCAD hatch patterns. I will go up here if I can. Shoot, now I can see myself. I'm going to ignore this completely. I will go and say that there are tons of free AutoCAD hatch pattern websites, and I'll try to figure out why maybe I am in the corner of your screen, but there are tons of websites out there that can give you some more some different patterns, some more detailed patterns, and everything else. Okay. So I went over and I said, well, why would I do this again? And I'm thinking about this, and I said, what if I wanted to break this up a little bit? And this is something you see all the time where maybe you don't go brick all the way up. Maybe you vary it a little bit. So in this case, what I would do is I just drew a construction line across here. And I'm going to go ahead and offset this construction line like 36 inches. Whenever I've done this, even in designing a house, I've always tried to pick a point that kind of made some sense through the structure of the house in terms of like doorknobs and window placements and everything else. Because really, yes, it does count on like the size of the brick, like how thick is a brick, because you want full courses of bricks all the way up. And this is actually a case where a brick mason might completely just change the pattern on you. They might go up another 7 inches on you because they want to get full courses of brick or something. But, that's on them, not on you. All you're doing is, in this case, providing them a template. So I'm going to go up and I'm going to offset this, 2 inches. All right. And what I'm doing is I'm showing what we would call, if this was brick, we would call it a soldier course. So now this is no longer needed. That was just kind of a starting point. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim. And this is really like kind of frustrating, right? When you have all your hatch patterns and hatch boundaries and everything else on. So I'm just going to turn that off. I'm going to turn off hatch. I'm going to turn off hatch boundary. And now I can go ahead and very easily trim these areas, right? I don't want any lines in there. I don't want any lines in there. Okay. I don't want any lines in my door. Okay. I'm going back to my wall again. I don't want any lines going through my corner. And I don't want any lines going through my corner. And I have no lines going through my corner. So that works good. So now, forgot a couple of things. So I'm going to trim this right here. Don't want anything going through my window or through my window or through my window. Boy, I forgot all kinds of things when I went through here. So that's good. I think that's good. That's what I said before, right? So these don't need to be here. And these don't need to be here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hatch these with a solid fill. And that's going to create like a brick ledge. That could be like a limestone type of brick ledge or something else. But one thing that I also noted was to say, if it was brick through here, you would not see a corner board. Sometimes I really don't even care when I'm doing this, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just go ahead and throw all of these things on my, forgot one other thing, don't need this. But now is a good time to kind of like make a decision. Do I want my brick to go all the way up? Or do I want to maybe make my brick go all the way up in those back two areas and just make my brick go halfway up in this front area? Okay. So now what I can do is I'm just going to go back and I'm going to make sure I have my, turn my hatch layer on. And I should probably put these on my hatch boundaries. So I'll go ahead and select here and I'll say, okay, that's my hatch boundary layer. And easiest thing first is just go ahead and select hatch. Oh, I'm on the hatch boundary layer. Remember, you have to really be cognizant of this if you're doing it using this method. And I'm just going to go hatch and I'm going to pick solid. And I'm going to come down here and I'm going to select that and that and that. And I'm done. All right, this is a case where I would probably just select all three instead of isolating everything, because I know that everything below here, no matter what I do, is going to be, brick. And what I'm going to do right now is actually wipe out this entire plan right there. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to get a little bit crazy here in a second with something I'm doing. Okay. So I'm going to do this and I'm going to say, all right, well, what happens if I go ahead and I hatch this? I'm going to go ahead and do the same kind of pattern I had over on the left with brick. So I go, okay, brick. I don't remember what the scale was. Oh, that does not work at all. But what I can see is that angle is 135. It remembers the last thing you did. Okay, 50 was totally not right. And this is why you do it all at the same time. Once you get one thing right, you just you figure it out on the one elevation, and then you just move on. All right. What about this 0.6? And this is not changing anything. All right. So what about 50? 50 is not changing anything. What about 0.05? 0.05 is not changing anything. Okay, now I never selected my area. So what about 0.5? Now it's making it make sense. Okay, I can see that 0.5 wasn't quite right. I think I remember that I picked 0.45. Yep, that was, maybe I picked 0.4. 0.4. Yep, that was what I picked. Okay, so I'm going to go 0.4. 0.4, not a bad idea to take some notes when you're doing this, in 0.4. Okay. And the other thing I'm going to do is go over here and say 0.4. Yep, the dog loves hatching stuff. 0.4. Now, usually I would do these in three, pieces like we talked about, so that I don't have to go back and redo anything. Okay. So in this case, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do one more hatch pattern, and I'm going to make this one my siding. And so I'm going to come down here. Which one was that? It was diagonal. I remember that. I'm sorry about the dog. She's just killing me. And I'm going to select here. I can't remember what that was. Maybe it was, I think it has to be bigger. So I'll say like 10. Maybe it has to be bigger than that. I think it was 40 was what I picked. How's that look? Nope, maybe it was 50, right? Again, the whole thing is write these numbers down. And then the angle was 135. Remember that. And that made a horizontal sliding pattern that was right there. Okay. So I hit close. And now I have one pattern here, a brick pattern here, And see, this is why I hate doing this at one time, because see, when I select this, it's lighting up everything. So, right. So it's making me have to like basically make more copies of the same thing. But I'm going to come over here. I'm going to try one more thing. And in this case, I'm going to do another hatch. And I'm going to stick with that same siding up top. Say a close hatch creation. That's cool. And I'm going to try stone on the bottom. So in this case, I'm bringing up a third material. And there is no stone in AutoCAD, but they do have gravel. And I've found that gravel works really nice for stone. So you just have to kind of select down. There's gravel. For this, it matters nothing about the rotation. So I select that. Well, that looks like gigantic stones. So why don't I change the scale and I'll shrink it. I'll make it like 20. And if you wanted to have like really, really small stone, like pond stone, you could say 10. That to me confuses it with the brick, maybe 15. Maybe that looks nice to you. So you hit close. Um, and now you have three things to pick from, right? You've split this whole thing. Now I have the one thing that I've done the same in every case is I've put brick in the back at this bump out, right? In all three cases, but I've done siding only in this case. I've done a brick and siding in this case, and now I've done brick, stone, and siding in this case. And now it's really up to you when you look at these things. And again, this could keep going on and on and on and on, but it really just depends on you to see, like what do you think looks best. I'm starting to think when I looked at this one, I don't see in here. I don't see anything that enhances the design, at least from my perspective. From this perspective, I do see something that does kind of enhance the design. It changes things a little bit. And in this one, I see, probably the most fairly consistent lines, and this to me lets the roof speak for itself. The doors, the windows speak for themselves. But it is a toss up. Like you could come back and all the time. I would just like, just say like, all right, go back to the one you don't like, cross it out, go to dinner, have a snack, and then come back later and look and say, all right, do I like this? And pan over, or do I like this? And pan over. Eventually, you got to kind of stop looking at them side by side and see which one really appeals to you. So now that I look at it on its own, this one is kind of actually making me think that this could be like a really cool design or something. But maybe I don't duplicate this stone all the way around the structure. Maybe I just go brick all the way around the structure and just keep the stone on this bumped out section. So I'm starting to think, even just in looking at it, that might be the way to go. Maybe that it does crank it up a notch from this. And again, like this area right here, this could be siding. This area right here, this could be stone. Again, making copies is the way to go.